Pickett blasts his way through, gives it off to Jackson. Jackson hooks it around the corner. D's have got a dozen.
Jump and Jack Henry for the lead for the Cats. Out of this world, this game.
Pearson to Curnow. Plays on immediately. Hooks it around the body. Cue the crowd.
Hello, I'm Damian Barrett. Welcome to Access All Areas, and we are here thanks to Crypto.com. A massive season-shaping round of football has just been completed. Matthew Lloyd, as always, is here. Lordo, what was your key takeout?
That Melbourne's best is still the best, and I think that if they can bring that level, I don't think any team beats them. And I thought Carlton's statement that they made against Fremantle, absolutely loved that for a team on the rise.
I love the resurgence of Geelong, and I still think they're going to be there on the last day in September on that Saturday to play Melbourne. So I think that's alive. They might have to do it without Tom Stewart for some weeks, Lordo. They will have to do it. We'll get to that in a few moments. But Collingwood continued its impressive streak of 5 wins in a row now under Craig McRae. Did it through adversity again, but did it with some flair.
There's no bells and whistles with Craig McRae, but I love the way he's got his team playing their football. It's based off pressure, so inside 50 tackles. It's a stat I love in footy, 12-3. So they laid 12, the Giants 3, and so you can see here, they lay tackles and pressure first, and they launch it inside forward 50, and they've got so many options, whether it's Jamie Elliott, Ginnivan, Hoskin Elliott, Myercheck, Henry, the list goes on this one. So this is how they get a lot of goals. So it's a spoil from Jeremy Howe, and then they just go. They just work a lot like Richmond play a little bit like this as well. So they do the defence first, then just go with speed on the ball, Damian, getting it inside forward 50, and they overwhelm the Giants through this third quarter.
They'd had a week that they needed to negotiate heavily off-field order, didn't they? And they did it bit by bit. They procedurally went through the whole Jordan De Goey situation. They had to then play this game against the Giants without him, and did it in a way in which they weren't affected by, and will be better off for not having him out there in that heat of that moment.
Yeah, such a professional outfit, and you see the numbers. He said that it was a huge distraction through the week, but they couldn't have prepared better, and that's what Craig's got a good team. Lepich, Brendan Bolton, Craig McRae, number 1 points against since round 10. That's a great sign.
What are they telling you? I mean, is that top 4 material type of...
Well, they may well be the bolter, yeah. I hope they make the finals because they're in great, fantastic form. But, all those stats stack up for playing well in finals footy.
So De Goey comes back, potentially as soon as this week, and if not this week, you'd think the week after. They're going to get Brodie Grundy back expectedly too at some stage. How's that look with the Darcy Cameron situation? Another big game yesterday. Mason Cox playing well. Look, I'd argue that he's playing well because of Brodie Grundy's absence, not just in the absence of.
We saw Luke Jackson play a fantastic game too on Thursday night. It's amazing what happens when you have the number 1 responsibility. And as a ruckman, you can sit there as the number 2, number 3 for years and years and never get your opportunity. And this is what has happened for Cameron. 17 disposals, 2 goals. That's a great game for a ruckman. And I think Mason Cox will be squeezed out.
Oh, really?
When Brodie Grundy comes back.
You don't persevere and attempt to get all 3 in?
His good games are great, but another 5 disposals yesterday, Mason Cox. So I think Grundy, it's unfortunate for Mason, but I think Grundy will replace him,
One of the really good games was the Port Adelaide versus Suns game, and neither team deserved to lose. One obviously did. It was the Suns that lost the game. Didn't lose any fans, I think, in the big picture, but Port continued its impressive run, Lordo. They were 0-5, they're now 7-7, and there is still hope.
Two sides that are travelling really well. The Suns don't lose any fans with this. They kicked 3 goals to 1. Hostile territory. It's tough to play at Adelaide Oval with the way the fans get behind their team. This was desperate from Pal Pepper. He had more score involvements than any other player on the ground. Some will say with Ballard here, should he took time off the clock, then didn't do anything. Should he have had the shot? Because he just popped it and still...
He looked exhausted.
Yeah,
he looked as though he was receiving information from the sideline as to how long was left. And that could have been played a free. It didn't shape the game.
No. So I love what both of these clubs are doing. Port got off to a horrid start. They've tidied things up. Dixon in the ruck. Finlayson, that's helped the Port too, and the Suns, as I said, they're building into something special.
They are, but they need to get a win again, don't they? Given the race for the one spot left in the 8 potentially, Lord. They got Collingwood on Saturday night back at home at Metricon.
Yeah, I think that win yesterday probably cost them. I think they're falling too far behind the pack now, the Suns.
Okay. Someone who's not in finals calculations and haven't been for many years now, Lord. I was North Melbourne. Another dreadful performance, it must be said, against Adelaide in Hobart on the weekend. Their best best result now in their last 10 games is a 47-point loss. It was more than that against the Crows, but they're in a world of hurt right now, and they've got a review starting today, Monday, with Jeff Walsh coming into the club to look at it. And this is David Noble at three-quarter time of this game against the Crows. You can lip read to a certain point there, and he clearly wanted a response in the final 30 minutes of that game, and it didn't come.
So Jeff Walsh walks in this morning, Damo. You've written an article about it overnight. Where does he start, you think?
Well, he's got, I would think, carte blanche to do what he wants, and that's inclusive of the entire operations of the club. I mean, I question the appointment of Jeff Walsh, Lloyd. They've already got Paul Roos as a highly paid consultant working for the club. Jeff Walsh has twice left North Melbourne, once as CEO, once as a footy operations boss. I think there's other people in footy they could have chosen, and I think the problems are pretty real. I mean, they've had 3 recruiters walk out. For starters, I'd be going to at least make the phone call to get Stephen Silvani in as a starting point. I mean, his record is stacking up beautifully now with what he's done with the Blues, and they've obviously got an issue with how the actual football operations is run as well. I think these answers are there for them, but they don't need Jeff Walsh to tell them, and I think that's the problem. The club is using outside force to tell it what it needs to do.
So the coach, David Noble, CEO, Ben Amafio, and head of footy,
they have to all be on notice. You can't make these decisions as a board to bring someone, like a toe cutter like a Jeff Walsh in, and he was a toe cutter when he played a similar role at Carlton last year and made changes. This is not just someone coming in to tell them it's all okay. Changes will be made, and those roles may be the ones.
And if David Noble does go, they went Damo, an experienced head, so you'd think that they couldn't go with a first-time coach, could they? Or
I wouldn't have thought so. Well, it hasn't worked with Rhys Shaw. It hasn't worked, certainly at this point, with David Noble. And whether it's support that's identified underneath Noble, that's clearly going to be part of it. The Cats and the Tigers played a fantastic game. I think it's one of the games of the year, Lordo. This is what now lies ahead for the Cats, though. Tom Stewart reported facing the tribunal on Tuesday night upcoming. Now, this is what happened to them late last year. They went 2-3 without Stewart. Last 2 home and away games, the 3 finals. Now, we think he's going to miss at least 3, maybe 4. This is a slight worry for a team that's on a surge.
It is, but they've just got to deal with that. He cops what he deserves, but we're just going to show how well he reads the ball behind the play. Just the confidence they get with him being back there. He was best on ground again, in my opinion, on the weekend, even after what he did, and you saw how visibly upset he was. But, they've got Jack Henry, who played forward, who can go back. They've got Zach Tui, who's been playing wing, who can go back. So I think they'll get through fine. They'll handle it, he's a huge loss, but I think they're such a wonderful club, playing such good football. Patrick Dangerfield should be back next week too, so they've got wonderful depth. They should be fine.
They've got North Melbourne this week, so it wouldn't really matter. Lloyd, I've got an issue with the match review office not being able to assign a number of weeks to that Tom Stewart hit. I mean, it happened on a Saturday afternoon. The industry now will pause itself until Tuesday night for the independent tribunal to determine what it is. I just think in 2022 we can streamline this function and let the match review office, the first body that the AFL uses to determine such incidents, to put a figure on it.
I'm with you. Why do we need this?
Well, we tick a box, and it gets to a certain point where they can't determine the number, and the number has to be determined by lawyers and retired judges. And I don't get it. I just think Geelong and Stewart deserve to know right now. Is it 3? Is it 4? And in your eyes, what is it?
I'd say 4 weeks for Tom.
Yeah.
3 would be the best result.
Yeah, and I think 5's too many.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Look, I've got a rule. You don't ever rule out and write off champions, so I'm not writing off Dustin Martin, but I'm worried.
Yeah, I was worried too with what I saw on the weekend as well. He got caught a lot early. He kicked a ripper goal in the third quarter to help the Tigers get back into the game. But yeah, you can see he's missed a lot of football, a lot of training. It doesn't matter who you are, if you're not training consistently and have had a break.
This is not Dustin Martin that we've come to know.
No. And I think he's making one effort. So you just don't see the burst, the 1-2. He's relying on others to get him the football a lot more than he was in previous seasons. So let's hope he can get that hunger back, because it seems like he was just floating along on Saturday in a big game. And
yet he kicked that great goal late and nearly kicked another great goal late. And so he nearly got them over the line yet again, as he has done countless times. But there was just a lack of spark there, wasn't there?
Yeah. He should only get better, you think, with continuity from here. Yeah.
As should Nat Fyfe also get better. 2 games back now for the Dockers, but it hasn't been the Nat Fyfe that we've come to know and expect. And he didn't have a great impact in this Dockers loss to Carlton.
He was off. Carlton were right on as a midfield group. And what I'll say about this and my history with it, when you've been out for a long period of time like Nat has, your first game back, you're running on adrenaline, you feel really good. That week, though, you feel like you've been hit by a semi-trailer or a truck with your body. You just saw right throughout, and I think he would have been like that going into this. I know he played a waffle game, but it's nothing like AFL footy, so I think he'll only grow and get better from here.
Yep. The Blues were going to potentially be exposed down back. They've got no one of note still standing there, but their midfield is so strong, Lordo, and the collective strength to clear the ball as they so often did in this gritty way was so impressive.
Yeah. A lot of people are asking, can they win a flag? Could they do it this year? I say no, just because I feel you have to taste finals. It's rare that you can get there, Damo.
I say yes, Lordo.
Yeah, and I think why you'd be saying yes is because if you've got a big-bodied, tough midfield that win clearance,
and you got that bloke at the end of it all,
star forwards,
yep.
and their forward 50 pressure was just a lead again. So I think they've got a lot of the makeup. It's just whether the experience hurts. And here is the forward pressure that I speak of. This was there to see from round one against Richmond, and it's carried all the way through. So outstanding from Michael Voss. I don't think he overcomplicates the game, but they do things really well that what helps teams win games of footy.
Well, I don't, for what it's worth, subscribe to you need to be there and have tasted defeat in finals in order for it to come your way. I'm a big believer in just seize the moment, and there's something about this Blues team that is seizing everything in front of them.
Yeah, I'm the opposite, because I just feel there's not enough players who have tasted what it feels like at finals time. But you said it can happen, but not very often.
You talk about the manic pressure in a forward line. We just showed that there with Carlton. It's non-existent at St Kilda, at least in recent times. And someone's suffering because of the way the ball's coming in, Lordo, is someone close to you in Max King. Yeah,
you see the frustration at half-time. It's not much. You can see he's angry. He's angry. 2 goals to half-time of football. The ball's not coming in well at all. Some will say, is it his fault? There's some saying...
Well, tell us what you see when you see this. Is it his fault, or is it the way the ball's coming?
So this one was just great body work by McCartan, so he's got to probably do a bit more work off the ball. This one, he's not reacting quick enough, and he's got to be better to bring that ball to ground. So some is on him, but a lot is on the team's ball. So here, he gets checked. So that they played him really well, but you'd hate to be a fool. We'll play this last one from Ben Long. This is just... That's why King's frustrated. That's as bad a kick inside forward 50 as you'll ever see. So, I think Brett Ratten's supporting his player well and says Lockett Dunstall couldn't do anything in that forward line. So King will be fine if the ball moves better. I think he's been harshly judged.
Yep. Lord, I want to get your opinions. You've got some strong ones on the Bombers. Before we do, let's just take a look at their workings defensively against the Eagles on the weekend. Again, they lost somehow. And they fell down in this part of the ground as much as anywhere.
Yeah, they're making a lot of errors, where it's on the coach and the senior players, in that they're leaving at the wrong time. So you watch defensively, so the ball comes in, so it'll be kicked in. You'll watch Jaden Laverty come up into the latter part of the screen. He's just in no man's land, so he comes up but doesn't impact, and then that allows for players to get up out the back of them, and then there's not enough pressure further afield either.
So if you leave your man, you've got to impact.
But he'd also be saying, okay, where's the pressure up the field for me to come over the top? Look at this. So players getting out the back. West Coast hadn't scored 100 points for 26, 27 matches, and they do it on the weekend. So it's really been such a poor year. You look at him, he's disconscious. They thought they got better, and they thought they got it right against St Kilda, but then again, wasn't great on the weekend.
And this is what's happening in front of us and unfolding in a season in which they're coming off a finals performance, and one they expected to at least shape what was to lie ahead successfully. Those numbers are damning. Yeah. We mentioned North Melbourne in crisis, and that's just a perennial state for North Melbourne, or perpetual state for North Melbourne. Is Essendon also in crisis?
I think their footy, it's a mess. It's 3 wins and 11 losses. And I just look at the way Collingwood's improved with a first-time coach. Look, Carlton with a first-time coach. What Fremantle are doing. The way Stewie Dew's got, the Suns playing. And then you've got, I just think, and then Essendon are playing the way they are. That's why I think Ben Rutten should be under enormous pressure, because of the lack of individual improvement, the lack of team improvement. I feel like they're listless and soulless with the way they're playing their football, and that's why I think the review needs to be a strong one. It can't be a Mickey Mouse one.
Yeah,
it needs
you
to
haven't
be
gone
strong.
As strongly as on this topic as you have now. It's obviously something you've monitored and watched and waited till round 15 to say.
Because they'll spike every now and then and get a good win, and then it's down and it's poor for 3 or 4 weeks. I just don't see any substance to what they're doing out there on the
So you'd make the change?
I'd seriously consider looking. I don't think you can go... I think Ben would want to see great improvement in the last 8 weeks. The Gold Coast lose on the weekend, but it's the way you lose. And so I think unless Ben can win 2 or 3 games and see the team improve, I think they should seriously consider making that move. Yeah.
Well, we couldn't split the Crypto.com Brave Play of the Week, so it's a dead heat. It's a dead heat, and they're worthy recipients, these two players. Jack Viney, back as captain for Melbourne in Max Gawn's absence, just did some extraordinary things in that big Demons win against the Lions. And we'll get to the second of the dead heaters in a moment, but that was a messy game by Jack Viney.
Well, he's just been hurt, and he's laying on the ground, and then he hits Kadeem Coleman, and then he's as brave as they come. You'd love to play with Jack Viney. And I was actually there live watching the Western Bulldogs on Friday night, and Hawthorn were all over them in the first quarter. It was a game they couldn't afford to lose, and Liberatore was the one constant in the game, Damo, with what he did. And
look at the score here. They're in trouble, real trouble. And a loose ball get there over Mitchell sets them up for a goal.
And the next one I thought was symbolic in the game. So there was a ball to be won. It's Giath and also Liberatore. And this one, the ball had to be won. He hits him harder. The ball goes forward. They kick another goal. Riley West kicks it. And the game, they never looked back after that. So Lib is back playing where he should play, centre bounce footy, clearance work. And he's giving his team a chance.
If you had to split them, the two Brave players in the
I'll give it to Viney on such a big stage against the Lions. Yeah.
Stick with AFL.com.au and the AFL Live app for all you need to know about the 2022 AFL season. Lord, I thank you as always, and we'll be back next week with more Access All Areas.